Hello everyone, welcome to English with Joseph. Today we're going to be looking at the differences between the verbs to say and to tell. Let's look at some examples. John said he would be here at 6. Jane told me she was going to come over at 7 o'clock. First of all, let's look at the way we use these. We use the verb said when we are repeating exactly what someone said. John said, he has brown hair. John said, he will be here at 6. You're repeating almost word for word exactly what John said. If you were reading this, more than likely the sentence would begin with John said and then would have speech marks, inverted commas, to show where the quoted speech begins and ends. In fact, in quoted speech, normally what it would say is John said, inverted commas or speech marks, I will be here at 6. Because you're quoting exactly what John said. However, in speech, of course, we can't stop and insert speech marks, so we usually change it to show what John said. John said he would be here at 6. If we said, John said I would be here at 6, perhaps it would be a little bit confusing. So, we use said to show what someone has said almost word for word. Tell is a little bit different. Tell is the language of storytellers and of myth and of creation. However, we can also use it in general speech to talk about information which is not repeated word for word, but a message has been given. For example, we said earlier, John said he will be here at 6. But what if John didn't say that, and you know John is coming at 6? You would say something like, I remember John told me he would be here, I think around 6 o'clock. I'm sure when I was speaking to John, he told me that he would be here between 6 and 7 or 6, I can't quite remember. Or if you can imagine a story such as, my mother told me once that when she was a young girl, she lived in southwest Scotland. My mother told me once that when she was a young girl, she lived in southwest Scotland. Probably the mother had been more specific with the information. Maybe if I could remember exactly where my mother lived, I could say, my mother said, if I could remember her exact words about where she lived. So, to say that someone told you something is repeating a truth, but not a truth which is word for word. Also, the verb to tell is usually followed by a person. Oh, John told me that. Joseph told me that. My mother told me that. Joseph told John. John told Jane. Whereas with said, you can simply say, John said that he will be here at 6. Of course, you can also say, John said to me he will be here at 6, but John said he will be here at 6 is perfectly acceptable. Okay, let's go over this one more time. Said is for speech where you are quoting exactly what has been said. My uncle said he has returned from Russia. My uncle said he has returned from Russia. And that's because he called me and he said, I have returned from Russia. If I was writing this, I would even insert inverted commas or speech marks, as they're called. They would say, my uncle said, open speech marks, I have returned from Russia, close speech marks. But in general speech, I change it so it becomes, my uncle said, he has returned from Russia, because if I said my uncle said I have returned from Russia, it would cause confusion in speech in case people think I have returned from Russia. So, said is more or less to report something which is being said word for word, something which is 100% accurate, where maybe you've changed the third person just to highlight who is actually saying the sentence. To tell, on the other hand, is the language of the storyteller. The way to remember this is a simple phrase, I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story shows that you're using the verb tell to talk about something which may have a general truth, but isn't 100% word for word. For example, my uncle said he has returned from Russia. My uncle told me that he's returning from Russia today, I think, or is it tomorrow? I'm not sure. But anyway, he's coming back. So, when you don't know what the person said word for word, you then use the verb to tell. And with the verb to tell, there's a person usually. My uncle told me. My uncle told John. My uncle told Joseph that he's returning. Whereas with said, that is not strictly necessary. Finally, let's just look at a few more examples. John said he will be here at 6. Or if you were writing this, that would be John said, inverted commas, I will be here at 6. Close commas. Okay? But in speech, John said he will be here at 6. Irene said she will meet me at 3. John told me that he's coming over tonight. Irene said she'll meet me this afternoon. Irene told me she will meet me this afternoon because she's already told me that we're meeting at 3. Okay, so Irene said I will meet you at 3. Irene told me we will meet this afternoon. Well, I hope that makes the differences between say and tell clearer. Thank you and goodbye.